parking we dealt with.
Okay. Okay, guys, we're going to go ahead and get started. We have a quorum here tonight. We have one item. We are going to read through our required stuff quickly and move forward. So I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order and do our roll call. Ethan Reed.
Present.
Mark Ferguson.
Present.
Alexander Bainey.
Present.
Jensen Tilkey.
Present.
Jay Wimborne. Brooks Davis.
Here.
Tanisha Roundtree. Cassidy Cook.
Here.
Kevin Gambrill.
Here.
Okay, and as we say in each meeting, the Conway Planning Commission makes recommendations to the City Council on public hearing items. Items reviewed on this agenda will be considered by the City Council as early as 6:24. Items not approved by the Planning Commission Board of Zoning Adjustment may be appealed to the City Council within 30 days of the date of denial. And with that, I am going to, I would consider a motion to approve the minutes.
Make a motion to approve.
Okay.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? Good deal. We are going to jump into our one item on the list tonight. That is our public hearing item, request to rezone the property at 332 Southeast German Lane.
Hello, everyone. The one item we have tonight is a rezone from A1 to S1. It is just north of the Conway Christian School campus, located at 332 Southeast German Lane. As stated earlier, the property is currently agricultural, and they are requesting to rezone it to institutional to further align with the school. Adjacent zonings to the north and west are A1, and south and east are S1. There is existing about an 1,100 square foot single-family home on the site. It's not located in any overlay districts, and the comprehensive plan does indicate the use of the site for institutional uses. If the property was rezoned to S1, the highest density use is a hospital. There's no way a hospital would fit on a property of this size. The intent of the rezone is for, my understanding is for Conway Christian, to use the site for a daycare for staff, for children under the age of 2 and 0, and I'll let Emily further expound on that. So not a huge increase in traffic because those children are already riding with parents there. There's 8,600 trips that are just north of the intersection here. The site's not located in any FEMA flood zones. There is already electricity and water at the site. Any other extensions will need to be coordinated with Conway Corp. Southeast German Lane is a minor arterial. So as stated earlier, the intent is for a daycare that's going to be merged in with the Conway Christian site through platting. S1 zones are required to be a minimum of an acre. However, the rezone with this platting will then make the property align with that use. Abutting uses are agricultural, residential, and institutional, and very rural. The zoning code for what institutional uses are described as, this use very much aligns with. As stated, the property is going to be merged in with the Conway Christian campus. It is not platted, and light site development review will need to be undertaken just because we're going from a residential use to a non-residential use. Any questions?
Thank you, Lauren.
Thank you.
Okay, is the applicant here to speak in favor of this request? Thank you. If you will come forward and state your name and address, please.
Emily Ferris with Sal and Ferris Architects, 27 Bluebird Lane. Okay, as she said, we're trying to get a rezoning for this house. Eventually, it's going to be platted together with the entire school property. They anticipate 8 to 10 kids in this daycare, probably 2 staff members. They've already been coordinating with DHS as far as the requirements there. As far as parking goes, we're looking at 2 cars for the staff members. The teachers would be parking with the parking lot of the school and then taking the kids over. So, do y'all have any questions?
Anybody have any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And not seeing anyone, but I will ask, is there anyone here to speak against this request? Okay, thank you. With that, we'll bring it back into commission.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Good deal. And then finally, we have our typical, if there's any announcements or anything from you guys tonight.
I'm going to turn my mic on. Okay.
It's on.
The only thing we've got going on is the zoning we're redoing the zoning code. We had several meetings with our advisory committee, and we're going to be moving into public input before too long. Probably present, what did we say, October? We'll present to planning commission and get it in front of council by November and try to get it adopted. It's going really well. We're streamlining Article 10 and Article 4 right now. It's going great. But anyway, you guys will be kept up on that, and probably a couple of weeks before that planning commission meeting, we'll get you the thing so that you can read it and be ready to ask questions. The legislative update that we've been talking about and everything, HB 1503 turned into Act 313. Accessory dwelling units, those are now allowed in every residential zone with very little oversight. No parking is required. So it's 75% of the primary structure or 1,000 square feet, whichever it works out to be. What I expect to happen in a town like this is a lot of tiny homes going in behind property and street parking, more than likely. Again, we don't have any idea, how it'll blow up or anything. They don't have to match the house. We can't regulate very much about it at all. So anyway, that got passed.
Can covenants and restrictions?
That's a civil matter. I mean,
Well, that's what I
yeah,
mean, but
yeah.
a
I mean-
subdivision could still have requirements.
right, it can still have requirements, but the older subdivisions, especially where those CNRs probably don't even exist anymore.
No.
Those, I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see, I guess, and see how it
Overlay
goes.
districts like historic district still,
Those will have some design standards that they will have to meet, but I don't think we can tell them no.
Those tiny homes allowed to be Airbnbs, or are there rules against that in the
Well,
city?
that's the other thing. It used to, they had to be family, and now there's no restrictions on who can live there.
But specific cities can have restrictions on the number, because they're already doing that, the number of Airbnb
Yeah, I mean,
things they're giving out.
that we do.
Mhm.
We've been working on short-term rental stuff since I got here, so yeah, we might be able to do that. But the one thing that we can't do is supersede state law.
Right.
So it is what it is right now, and we'll see how it works out. Protection of vegetable gardens, no protection. I mean, nothing there. They just can't be over 6 feet tall. We've had some controversy over the birds and bees things. There's an argument to be made that it's not vegetable, but it's edible. And so the only regulation really we can put on that is that it's 6 feet tall. It can't be over that. And we have had some people that have tried. But anyway, repeal of extraterritorial jurisdiction as of this, well, we've gone ahead and implemented it. By August 4th, we have 0 planning boundary, no extra territorial jurisdiction, none of that stuff. So somebody right outside the city could do a subdivision that was, once it's annexed, would just be legally non-conforming. And, that is what it is too. Now, a lot of this has to do with places that are not even here. I mean, that package plant permitting, that has to do with Conway Corp., so we don't have to really mess with that. The private professional provider, that third-party person doing the site development review, we've talked about it a whole lot. I don't see it being an issue. Apparently, there are some communities in Northwest Arkansas that take an inordinate amount of time for site development, and this was more aimed at them. We get ours through pretty quick, and so it's just an extra layer of cost and somebody else involved in it if a third party. So what we're going to do is give them the option when they submit an application to either do it or don't, but it's in their best interest to don't, because we get them through pretty quick. The timelines are longer for the third-party development than what we typically do in-house. So I don't anticipate that being an issue. There's limits on municipal regulation of county land, just we can't do anything about the courthouse, the library, anything, the justice building. That's all on the county. That one has to do with county planning boards. Act 595 is the administrative rezoning procedures. It allows for us to administratively rezone, let's say from A1 to R1. If it fits, if it's kind of a no-brainer, but I can tell you the city is not going to adopt that at this point in time. One of the things that got brought up is Elaine Good's land, her land out by Lakeview Acres. That would have been kind of a no-brainer from A1 to R1, but look at the opposition that it caused and stuff. So the city is not at this point going to do that. We're going to keep everything in a public forum. So economic development, that has to do with adding incentivizing retail. They're including retail and incentivizing businesses to come. I see big problems with that, but anyway, it's a state law now. So that was basically the rundown. That was it. And if anybody has any questions, I'll try to answer them. Yes, sir.
Just one, the one without the no more territorial jurisdiction.
Yes.
So if there is a subdivision adjacent to the city limits and there is no public sewer, particularly public sewer.
We don't have to do that. We may annex it, but we don't have to provide sewer. My neighborhood is perfect example. It was built prior to coming into the city, and we don't have sewer out there. It was annexed, but
There won't be any minimum or connection distance requirements or anything of that nature.
well, that's kind of
Like
up to
plumbing code.
Conway.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, like, it may not be through the city necessarily, but I'm just
Right.
wondering about those issues, about connectivity and.
Like we got all the Conway Corp services other than sewer in my neighborhood. And so we got water. The residents had to pay for it, but we got it. So
Other
I
than water,
expect-
is that what you said?
no, we got everything but sewer.
Sewer,
We got
okay.
water, cable,
Because you could
electricity.
do water improvement district if
Yeah,
you want to too,
Yeah.
right?
And I think they spread it out over 10 years that we paid for all the water and stuff.
In those instances, if they
So-
don't want to necessarily connect to a public system, that'll just make bigger lots because they'll need them for septic.
For septic, yeah. And most of the people out there, well, we all have septic, but most of the people that were out there had wells. The
And
only
some of the
reason,
smaller lots, they have a shared, like what
Yeah,
Josh Coleman, they have a
you can.
shared septic. I'm not even sure how it really works, but they don't have their own, but it's on a shared, like out on is it Bell Valley?
Uh-huh,
There's a few of those out there that have, not the whole subdivision
yeah.
always, but sometimes part of it, they're on a shared little septic thing. out
But that one right there on 65, what's it called? North,
North Hills.
yeah, North Hills, that's on one huge septic
That's a
system.
package plant.
Yeah.
Right, it can have their own, they can have their own product. Yep.
So, but most of the people in my neighborhood had wells because they had been there for a while. The only reason that I didn't is because I knew it was coming in the city and I hooked onto my dad's, but just until, that happened, and he used it for his sprinkler system. They found, but I guess they don't have to. Do they have to connect to city water if they've got a well?
Their well is sufficient. They do not have to connect to city water.
Okay.
Have a
But
well.
no
in
other
downtown
utility
Conway.
can service inside the city limits, right?
Service water.
Like when
Or
we were talking
electric.
about annexing some property in, you'd made the comment that if it becomes annexed in, we have to take it over from
If there,
Correct.
the other
yes,
utility. Okay.
and it's a lot more expensive to do it that way, but
Have to pay for electric customers. Conway Corp has to pay Entergy 355% of the gross annual revenue, and any equipment costs. So if their pole line goes down that road and loops back in somewhere, we have to keep their system whole. So create that loop.
but it's our state lawmakers. If y'all have a problem with them, call them.
Call your state reps and your, okay, do we have anything else? I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion?
Okay? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Good meeting.